Breathful day, everyone. Breathful day, breathful day. All right, so I wanted to hop on here real quick and give my thanks because on Spotify, we are in the top stress and relief playlist. So I am I'm just still lost for words, and I'm just thankful everyone out here is enjoying my breath music. So take a breath right now, give thanks. Hey. So if you guys have any questions, let them fly. I just wanted to hop on here on YouTube because else knows that I have a Jamaica retreat coming uh, this this May, and then in April we have our breath guide training. So tune in for that. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, let them fly. What's going on? Anytime somebody comments, I'm gonna just hit a bowl. I'm gonna hit a bowl in your honor. And always ask yourself, what are you breathing life into? What are you breathing life into? That is the number one question you should ask yourself on a daily basis. Everything around you, from the building to material, etc., in the physical, has some connection to breath in some dimension, some reality. Every material is deharmonizing, harmonizing. It has contrast. And I see another comment. I'm hitting the bowl. It has contrast. And when material has contrast, what does that remind you? It has a pendulum swing, right? Just like the breath, the inhale, the exhale. Everything is breathing. Everything is alive. Everything is and ever will be have contrast. Night, day, rain, dry, wet. The yin and yang. You can't have the yin without the yang. There is no yin in that sense. Someone says, will there be another breath guide training? I don't know. I just know that in April, I'm just focusing on the now. And that's what we have. That's what we have in April. That's it for now. I don't know what's coming next year, because next year I want to build with, even if it's just two. Like, actually, we actually are getting filled up, which is pretty good, really good. And these breath guides, whoever become a breath guide, I am technically going to invest in them come maybe next year, because they'll be able to put in certain criteria in the sense of grants. So I'll be giving breath grants to people, which is fire. And it's a blessing to be in that position to give grants to someone who understands or is coming from the sense of this breath connection, if you will, and utilizing the breath as a vehicle, and keeping the integrity of it to then ripple out into different communities to help different spots, etc., create just different opportunities for also more people around a particular breath guide, if you will, which is, it's important. It's important to invest back into someone who is carrying this torch, if you will. And I think that's important. And not too many quote unquote schools outside of the curriculum of what we know as schools. Sure, don't get me wrong, it is cool that we have all these different criterias and different schools, so to speak, and just like that website that's popping up right now. But to invest back into community, that to me hits a harder ripple and impact, because how much do you trust in what you're sharing and quote unquote preaching, that you why not invest in um other people, if you will, or other people who understand or feel or is breathing life into the vision, if you will, and the awareness of what breath can do for humanity in this regard, in a harmonious regard, and utilizing that to amplify a village health in the sense of infrastructure, in the sense of equipment that maybe need for medical, etc. Like you name it. Like if you have the will, the power, the integrity, I'd be honored to have you on board and be part of the whole Breath Guide series. I may do this every 2 years, or honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I may do this like every 2 years, maybe. I don't know what next year brings. I just told you I'm focused on the now. And the now is that April, Monday, Friday, the whole month, over probably maximum, 2 hours per session. And it'll also be recorded as well. We'll also have a private group chat when this is all over. It'll be more personal in that sense. And you also get 30% off anything off my store for a lifetime. If you guys didn't check out the Nexus, go check out the Nexus. But you're going to get a free projector. You're also going to get a free breath 528 nose whistle as well that comes with it. And we're going to go over also how to make breath music. How do I infuse subliminals into my music? And why and how does that help a client? Well, the sound of your breath is not a bad thing. There's a mainstream out there that says that the sound of your breath is the worst, or it's bad or whatever. I've proven, you can go on my YouTube somewhere and find the brain studies that we did, that listening to alchemy breathwork music, we can influence theta, and you have more quote unquote control over theta the more you listen to alchemy breathwork music, because you're listening to a parasympathetic resonance of being, of quote unquote breathing, if you will, and your mirror neurons is going to pick up on that because you breathe as well. It's the same concept as if you're watching a movie and a character in the movie is running away from another character, like running away for their lives, etc., right? And as they're running away, your body doesn't know the difference. Even if it's from the screen, it's going to feel like it's in danger. Is not in danger so much, but it just feels the resonance that that character is feeling, because we're also human as well. So that mirror neurons will pick up. That's why I say that no matter what crime a person has committed in this day and age, when they're behind bars, their body is still healing. Deep down, everyone wants to be in homeostasis. Everyone knows it is home. Homeostasis, home. And within home, the more we're familiar of our home, no matter where we go outside in the world, there is no outside influence that can truly have a powerful dictatorship over one's soul. No, because the breath and soul are one. Keyword, they're somewhat on a scale. But they are one. They're one in that regard. Especially in the womb, the breath and the spirit are in unison. But when you come outside the womb, where you at? You out into the matrix. Oh, I gotta do the camera now. Matrix. The matrix reality. The glitz. Yeah. So as I'm saying that, I say this to say, breathe life into progress. That is what Alchemy Breathwork is about. We're also about tackling the deviated septum, because not a lot of breath trainings out there is telling you how to tackle a deviated septum. They're not also telling you that you have different lungs that you can quote unquote breathe from, in a sense. And we're also going to go over how Bruce Lee himself was doing a form of um, baby mudra breathing, as I like to call it. And we're going to go over how he was doing a form of breath work without even knowing he was doing a form of breath work, especially with his hands. So we're going to go over that as well. And we're going to go over so many mainstream things and knocking it out the park. And one of the mainstream things I can talk about, if anyone wants to bring it up, you're more than welcome to. Please. Nice to catch you live. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. We're live. Live in the flesh. So one of the mainstream thing is that we exhale. I hear the phrase, exhale what no longer serves you. Exhale. Exhale what no longer serves you. That's the number one thing I hear in mainstream breathwork, right? One of the things is that just like the womb, there's a cycle that comes back to us. How can the exhale no longer serve us, or anything quote unquote no longer serve us in that sense, when the exhale somewhat returns to you in some form or some manner, one way or another, and it's going to another being? So instead of exhaling quote unquote what no longer serves you, why not exhale life into the complete opposite of what no longer serves you? You see where I'm going with this? As Bob Marley would say, there's a war going on between life and death. And that war is almost for everlasting in a sense. But I wouldn't say it's a war, so to speak. I would say it's a conscious pendulum swing. And if one is able to be aware of it, then all things are possible. Let's start breathing more life into life. Yes, we honor death. We see what it is and what's it for, in many different ways. But if you're living, and you're living now. So breathe more life into the now. Breathe more life into the living. If you're living, because that's you. You're here in this vessel, in this universe. Any other myths anyone would like to? Another myth. Another, not a myth. I'm going to give you, let's talk about breath facts. All right. Another breath fact. Your exhale is the first breath. How is your exhale the first breath? Think about it. You're in the womb. What are you doing in the womb? You're filled up with water. You're surrounded by water. And as you're surrounded by water, you're literally breathing water. So you're pissing and you're inhaling the piss as well, by the way. So that's embryonic fluid. So we all do urine therapy one way or another. By the way, your saliva has urea, by the way. So if you have saliva in your mouth, you're doing urine therapy. Everyone does urine therapy, some form, some way. So with that being said, there's no limits on different dimensions of breath. No limits whatsoever. So when you're filled with the embryonic fluid and you come out the womb, what are you doing? Is your first instinct to inhale when you come out that womb? You're filled up with the fluid. You're coming out the womb. Your first instinct is to take out the water. And then inhale. Oh, so taking out the water. How do you take the water out your lungs and out you're exhaling. There it is. Your first breath is your exhale, not your inhale. No. And in Alchemy Breathwork, we're mainly focusing on the exhale base, yes. And the more you understand that your first breath is the exhale, the more you understand all these yogic texts when they say that the illusion, etc., is external, blah, blah, blah. The illusionary world, external world, etc. To a certain degree, yes, because you're literally projected. You're projecting into this reality. And that is where the greed, that is where I can tell you via breath, if you will, in terms of breath language, man is consumed, heavily consumed, over-consumed, indulgent in the aspect of quote unquote holding. Let me put, I'm not being egotistic one way or another, but I just want to say, if I had that mindset and that breath mechanical viewpoint, and holding, inhale, holding, when in reality we have the all that is within us and we can project infinitely. If I had the opposite of that spectrum, going back into the holding part, right? There'd be no way in hell I would have collaborated with people from all the way in Indonesia, Japan, etc., to create crystal lenses. No way. No way. And in my mind too, when all this was happening synchronistically, when we went to over 50 plus people that told us, no, this is impossible, you can't do this, all that, blah, 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 for months, right? When you hear so many no's, you're like, okay. And then you hear that one, and then you hear that other one that says, hey, I actually know someone that knows this, and then you mesh them together and you're like, wow. If I had, went in my mind, if I had that breath pattern in the sense of, oh, I'm ego, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no one believes in me. Well, all right. In the sense of, giving up and just holding on to the fact that one no is going to make it. Is that going to be the equation of the whole process? Are you going to let one no dictate your whole life? That's what I mean. Are you going to let one no dictate your whole life? You're going to let one breath hold dictate your whole life? You know what I mean? You're going to let one breath hold dictate your whole life, when every breath is a blessing, when every breath influences our reality, when every breath makes an impact in how we manifest, magnetize, attract, breathe life into our quote unquote environment. And in the aspect of holding, when holding is happening, there is no such thing as breathing at that point. The process of breathing ends. And where the process of breathing ends, life ends. Simple. But there is breathing without breathing. Now, there is even that level. And I even just shared the testimonial on my YouTube, over on the YouTube shorts, that you see like 3-minute exhale, boom. Exactly. Why limit something limitless? Why? Why? When you breath hold, you are limiting the flow of where energy flows. Sure, you're combusting it to a certain, in a particular degree, you're combusting it, but you're still limiting the flow of the full, spectrum of the body, because at that point you're mainly focusing on earth, or you're mainly focusing on the lower planes. You're operating more on the lower planes at that point, and you're not operating in the sense where you're going in the aspect of ingesting the breath. Breath holding has nothing to do with ingesting the breath, because with breath holding, you are no longer quote unquote breathing. Breathing, there's a particular ways of breathing where it's still part of a process. And in the aspect of quote unquote ingestion, or quote unquote digestion in general, there is a process. There is no aspect of holding. There is no pause in a process. It's just one full swoop, one full swoop. So if there is no movement of breath within the body, or coming from the external going into the body, then there is technically less life, if you will, at that point. So why not learn to drink from the internal rivers? And I don't mean urine. What they were talking about is literally drinking internally. And what I mean by that is literally breathing internally, internal breathing at that point. Because you have, let's see, one, two, you have like four, you have four lungs. You have four lungs on your body. And we're going to go over the four lungs in the course for sure, the breath guide. And I'm going to go over how and why I call these the four lungs. And when you're going to the point where you're breathing without breathing, you're going to need other lungs to breathe. That's my point. Because breathing, it's not even breath holding at that point. It's even far beyond breath holding. But you're going to need other lungs if you're not breathing with your primary lungs. So it's learning to breathe with the other lungs and functioning of the body without the main, breathing without the lungs at that point. You're still utilizing the diaphragm, but you're not utilizing the lungs in the sense of what we think, the lungs is for. Because you're still creating and pulsating and emphasizing a metabolic process at that point. So with the emphasis of the metabolic process, at that point, you're, that there's only so much in terms of limit one can go. Now at that point, you should, in due time, you'll learn how to manipulate, quote unquote, chi, etc. in that sense. All right, guys, I gotta end the live.